All right, everyone. I think we're live. Hello. Welcome to day one, NaNoWriMo, November 1st. We are so excited to be here today and kicking things off with some live streams so that we can all start writing together and getting our word counts in. My name is Catherine. I am the communications director at NaNoWriMo. And I am so excited to be here today with our first author guest of the day, CL Clark. And before I get into getting to introducing CL, I just want to let people know what this live stream is going to look like, and to remind people that if you have not yet set a goal for your NaNoWriMo project, now is the time to do that so that you can update your word count, and you can get that little hit of adrenaline when you update the word count and see your graph going up. Feel free to share in the chat where you're joining us from today. I see a lot of people doing that already from all over the world. So it's so exciting to see you all here. Yay. I'm stoked to be here, and I'm also excited to get some work done on my NaNoWriMo project while we're here. So for the next, so we'll be here for about the next 45 minutes. And we'll get a little bit of a behind the scenes look at our guest author's writing process. We'll spend most of the time writing together. And yeah, if you have things you want to share, questions, anything like that, you can pop them in the chat. And yeah, we'll get writing. We'll kick off NaNoWriMo. So yeah, to get started, I am so excited to introduce our special guest author for this live stream. So CL Clark is a BFA award-winning editor and Ignyte award-winning writer, and the author of the Unbroken and The Faithless in the Magic of the Lost trilogy. If there are any fantasy fans out there. She graduated from Indiana University's Creative Writing MFA and was a 2012 Lambda Literary Fellow. She's been a personal trainer, an English teacher, and an editor, and in some combination thereof as she travels the world. When she's not writing or working, she's trying not to throw her kettlebells through the walls, is what it says on your bio. So yeah, welcome, CL. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so excited to be here. And actually, so this is my office. This is where the magic happens, but it's currently also my guest room, and I have a friend staying here. So I had to kick out all of my kettlebells. Otherwise, you would see them in the back, along with my swords, and my books are still here. But I cleaned out everything, so I can't give you guys the full grand tour of the magic space. I still should have brought the swords in. Oh well.
Oh well, next time.
Next time.
Yeah,
But yeah, so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna let people know that I'm gonna put a link to your book in the chat in case people want to check it out. I want to encourage them to do that. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you could probably guess that my books have swords in them. Because I like them. And the project I'm working on now for Nano is also a fantasy project. It's a secret project, so I can't actually tell you anything at all about it, except that it's a fantasy book. But hopefully, you guys will all announce something about it in the next few months, but maybe not. I don't know how it's going to work. That said, if you guys want to know how the magic happens, my routine is pretty habitual. So I write full time, more or less. I do other things like teach and stuff in the interim, but those are not the main thing. Most of my days are spent writing. So I wake up, usually set my own hours, which means if I have my way, I will wake up later and stay up later. So I just move everything a little, shift it down, and so maybe the writing day actually starts at like 9:30 or 10, but then it may end at like 6 or 7. But it still feels like a pretty 9 to 5-ish day with interruptions for lunch and workouts and stuff like that. It actually starts with a very important, like, I'm not British. I'm not from the UK, but I live here. And I've taken very quickly to the breakfast tea routine. So I have biscuit tea, breakfast tea with milk and sugar, which very polarizing here, but it's important to me to have the milk and the sugar. Um, and I have that while I do my morning pages, which I don't know if anyone's ever read The Artist Way, but I picked that up a long, long time ago. And that's one of the things that stuck with me. So I write 3 pages longhand in a notebook, like 3 pages, not 3 sheets. So it's not that long. It's about 30, 45 minutes of my morning, and it's just stream of consciousness, like whatever's on my mind, on my heart, spirit, which could mean anything from my actual feelings, stuff that's going on in the world, or a really thorny plot problem that I just can't quite figure out, or some kind of brainstorming. I was actually about to throw some out this week, and I was looking back and I just saw like entire pages of dialogue that I'd written that ended up being in the Unbroken and The Faithless. So very important part of my process. I do it, you're supposed to do it every day. I've adapted it to suit my own mood. So I do it every weekday. And that way it kind of stays as part of my workday routine more than like a life routine. But if I don't do it, I definitely feel the antsiness. My thoughts feel scattered. Um, but after I've done that, then I feel like I can actually get words on the page, or at least like the structured work. Usually, I will just kind of sit down and do the work. I write in Scrivener. Woot woot. It's saved my life for the last several books I've written. And I'm also I'm an outliner. I pantsed like my very first books and never again. Even Scrivener couldn't help me save myself after that. So now I outline. It's very important. And I was trying to think of the other really important parts of my process, but right now, I guess I outline ahead of time. So I'm working with a very strict-ish outline. Um, Obviously, things will change throughout the month as we go on. I'll realize that was a completely stupid idea, but I've already gotten buy-in from editors, so I kind of have to stay a little close to what I've proposed. And then if something goes completely off the rails, then I can renegotiate, maybe. If I'm having a hard time, which admittedly I am today, it's really hard to shift into first draft mode for me. I just spent a lot of time doing revisions, and especially like fine line revisions. And so my work was like, oh, you're so good. Yes, this is beautiful. And now I'm back in that place where it's like, this is awful. You are terrible at this. Why is this your job? So I'm trying to get rid of that kind of that internal editor thing going on. And so whenever that happens, I use a timer very strictly, because it's the only way I can make myself keep writing as opposed to like tearing everything apart. So I have my handy dandy hourglass, which I will use for us today. I also, if I'm really struggling to get words on the page, I'll do like little exercises from different craft books I have. One of my favorites is oh, I actually have it right here. I have this writing the breakout novel workbook. And like most craft books, there's some stuff that I think you should really just ignore because it's a lot of chatter and a lot of whatever, but it has really, really helpful exercises in it. And I really like those, and those can help me kind of shake out the cobwebs a little. And once I've gotten some of those questions and the exercises done, it's much easier to transition into just writing as opposed to outlining and stuff like that. It's very hard, that transition point for me though. That said, I think it's about time to start. So I wanted to give you guys a prompt, which coincidentally does come from that breakout novel workbook. And I was trying to pick something, you guys know, I write in sci-fi fantasy, but I wanted to pick a prompt that would work for everybody. And I figure everybody has characters, right? So Um, the prompt itself is, and I've written it down so I don't mess it up. Um, when you start today, think about your character and or whoever your protagonist is in this scene, and think about what their defining quality is. So, how someone would describe them, or what kind of trait is prominent in their personality. And then think of the exact opposite. Like, objectively, what is the opposite? So, if someone is kind, mean is the opposite, right? And so, then in the scene that you write today, or the next like 30 minutes or so, um, show that character demonstrating this opposite quality that seems contradictory to their personality as you have envisioned it. And what this will do is give your character a little bit more dimension. And it also means that however you're working through this character in this scene, there's going to be something a little bit surprising to you as the writer, to the character themselves. If they see themselves as a kind person and all of a sudden they're really mean, how do they reckon with that? Um, and then it will also be really engaging for the reader whenever that comes along. So that is our prompt. And anything else before we go?
Oh, I love that. I put the prompt in the chat here.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
so if and I'll add it to the video description too if people want to look back on it as we're writing. But,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm ready when you are.
All right, and this is 30 minutes that we're going to be writing for this prompt.
Yeah.
Great. All right, you got your hourglass. I'll put a timer up on my screen too so people can see it.
Perfect.
Great, let's start writing.
And go.
All right. That was 30 minutes. So, wow, yay. I feel like that flew by. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I was bopping around and in my jams space.
Always takes a second to transition out, but
Hmm.
thank you so much for that prompt. That was really helpful. I saw a lot of people in the chat saying that it was they just needed that little extra push to start writing today.
Oh, awesome.
Uh,
I had a good session with you guys. That was actually really helpful for me as well. I'd been writing in little 30-minute blasts earlier, and I'd started with like 791, but yeah, I got like an extra 500 this time around, which was more than before.
that's the goal, right? Just more than before.
Yeah.
Yay, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Anybody have any last minute questions or anything?
Yeah, feel free to.
Oh man, looks like you guys have had awesome 30 minutes.
Oh
Sweet.
my God, somebody broke 2,000 words on day one. That's incredible.
Yeah, you guys are very inspiring right now. I might just stick around and do some more.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm gonna drop a link.
Perfect.
Actually, we've got some more of these going on kind of throughout the day to try and catch people in a bunch of different time zones. Um, so there's a whole playlist on our YouTube. We have other authors who will be joining us, but yeah, if you're on a roll, feel free to to keep writing and just keep that going. But um, yeah, CL, do you have any like last words of wisdom for us as we go into the rest of day?
Mm. Just keep going. I mean, I think we talk about this a lot in the fitness world, which was where half my life used to be before, but consistency is more important than anything. And I think that's the best thing that we get out of Nano is building a daily habit. And not all of us do our nanos in a daily kind of way, but just to know that you will be coming to the page regularly. It's those little chunks that are going to add up. And this goes especially for fantasy writers who are looking at word counts of like 150,000. Like it's really daunting to start with, but they add up just as easily with like 500 words a day, 5 words a day. It's all the same process. You just have to keep going.
Thank you for that inspiring words of wisdom and I'm definitely feeling psyched to keep writing for the rest of the day. So hopefully
Awesome.
we'll see some of y'all later. And thank you again so much for joining. Everybody make sure to check out CL's books. And if you haven't yet, make sure you update your word count on the NaNoWriMo website.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's like
Awesome.
what keeps me going. It's just like, ooh, I wrote 5 words. Let me go update my word count. Uh,
Awesome. Thank you guys for writing with me today. And next time I will try to bring the swords. Yes.
all right. Yeah, we're holding you to that next time.